Now, let's proceed and introduce the Greek and Roman writers of mythology. The first one is Ovid. I will discuss a little information about Ovid. Ovid is a Latin poet and he wrote during the reign of Augustus. He was a good storyteller and be able to appreciate the myths enough. His verse had immense influence both by its imaginative interpretations of classical myth and as an example of supreme technical accomplishment. His best-known work is the Metamorphoses, a collection of mythological and legendary stories told in chronological order from the creation of the universe to the death. Through the Metamorphoses, Ovid gave many Greek legends, and it consists of a 15 books catalog written in Greek and Roman. The word metamorphosis is a Greek origin and means transformations. In addition to the Metamorphoses, Ovid wrote many books of poetry in the form of elegiac couplets, including the Amores, the Heriods, and the Ars of Amatoria. Hesiod is the second writer. He is generally regarded as the first written poet in the Western tradition to regard himself as an individual persona. With an active role to play in his subject, he is a great writer and often called the father of Greek didactic poetry. Two of his complete epics have survived, the Theogony, relating the myths of the gods, and the Works and Days, describing peasant life. But did you know that Hesiod is a farmer? He's a poor farmer whose life was hard and bitter. Two works have survived which attributed to Hesiod by ancient commentators. The first one is the Theogony. The Theogony traces the story of the world from its creation through the battle between the Olympians and the Titans to the ancients of Zeus as the absolute ruler for all the Olympian gods. The second book is the Works and Days. The Works and Days is a poem of over 800 lines which resolves around two general truths. Labor is the universal lot of man, but who is willing to work will get by. Hesiod is concerned with the almost of the moral issues of his world, such as law, justice and injustice, religion, peace and war, as well as the matters of the family and community. Issues that have tortured generations are still torturing us today. Pindar is the greatest lyric poet of Greece. He is one of the few ancient poets represented by a substantial body of work. Although only 45 of his odes of victory survive in their complete and original form, and other poems survive only in quotations from other authors or a fragmented scraps of papyrus discovered in 19th and 20th centuries. He wrote odes in honor of the victors in the games at the great national festivals of Greece, and in every one of his poems myths are told or alluded to. The establishments of these athletic and musical festivals was among the greatest achievements of the Greek aristocracies. The attendance was an opportunity for display and self-promotion and the prestige of victory, requiring commitment in time and wealth, went far beyond anything that occurs to athletic victories today. Celebrating the victory of a winner with the performance of choral chant and dance, these Epenician odes are elaborately complex, rich in metaphor and intensely emotive language. Virgil was an ancient Roman poet of the Augustan period. He did not believe in the myths any more than Ovid did, whose contemporary he was, but he found human nature in them and he brought mythological personage. Virgil has been traditionally ranked as one of the Rome's greatest poets. His Aeneid is also considered a national epic of ancient Rome, a title held since composition. The Aeneid is widely considered Virgil's finest work and is regarded as one of the most important poems in the history of Western literature. Critics of the Aeneid focus on a variety of issues. The tone of the poem as a whole is a particular matter of debate. Some see the poem as ultimately pessimistic and politically subversive to the Augustan regime. The Aeneid appears to have been a great success. In fact, it is the very first theme that Virgil introduces in the opening lines of the epic. human values are associated with war and peace.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jubilant Marie Bravo, and I'm here to introduce some of the Greek and Roman writers of mythology. So, first we have Aeschylus. Aeschylus is known as the father of tragedy. He was born in Eleusis, Greece, a small town about 27 kilometers northwest Athens in the fertile valleys of western Attica. He died in Gela, Italy. According to legend, Aeschylus met a tragic death. One day, an eagle that had just caught a tortoise mistook his bald head for a shiny rock and accidentally killed the author by dropping the animal onto him. So imagine how tragic was that. Famous works are the Oresteia. It is a play. It is a trilogy of Greek tragedies in the 15th century concerning the murder of Agamemnon by Clytemnestra. The trilogy consisting of Agamemnon, the libation bearers, and the Eumenides also shows how the Greek gods interacted with the characters and influenced their decisions pertaining to events and disputes. The only exact example of an ancient Greek theatre trilogy, the Oresteia, won first prize at the Dionysia festival in 458 BC. So the principal themes of the trilogy include the contrast between revenge and justice, as well as the transition from personal vendetta to organized litigation. Moving on to the next, we have Aristophanes, or also known as the father of comedy and the prince of ancient comedy. He is the son of Philippus of the deme Kaidaphoneion. He was a comic playwright or comedy writer of ancient Athens and a poet of old Attic comedy. Less is known about Aristophanes than about his plays. In fact, his plays are the main source of information about him and his life. He was born in Athens, Greece, and died in Delphi, Greece at the age of 60. One of his famous works is The Clouds. It is a Greek comedy play, a lamponing of intellectual fashions in classical Athens. It was originally produced at the city of Dionysia and was not as well received as the author and hoped, coming last of the three plays competing at the festival that year. The Clouds can be considered the world's first extant comedy of ideas, and is considered by literary critics to be among the finest examples of genre. Moving on to the next writer, we have Herodotus. He was an ancient Greek historian and geographer from the Greek city of Halicarnassus. He is known for having written the Histories, a detailed account of the Greco-Persian Wars. He was the first writer to perform systematic investigation of historical events. He is referred to as the father of history, a title conferred on him by the ancient Roman orator Cicero. One of his famous works is Histories. The Histories, also known as the History, is considered the founding work of history in Western literature. The Histories serve as the record of an ancient traditions, politics, geography, and clashes of various cultures that were known in Greece, Western Asia, and Northern Africa at that time. Heading on to the last writers, we have the Alexandrian poets. The Alexandrian poets is the name given to a group of 7 Alexandrian tragedians in the 3rd century. Alexandria was at that time the literary center of the Mediterranean, working in the court of the Ptolemy II Philadelphus. The name derives from the 7 stars of the Pleiades star cluster. There are several conflicting lists of the greatest poets of the Alexandrian age, which include the Alexandrian Pleiad, some with tragic poets, others which include lyric or epic poets. The following members are usually always include the Alexandrian Pleiad. The first one is Homerus the Younger, son of Andromacheus from Byzantium. associated with tragic Pleiad. The second one is Philiscus of Corcyra. The third one is Lycophron. And the last one is Alexander Aetolus. It is a tragic poet.
Apelles was a Numidian native language prose writer, Platonist, philosopher, and rhetorician. He lived in the Roman province of Numidia, in the Berber city of Maduaros. He married a wealthy widow who transferred all her money to him, causing her family to charge him with the gaining affection of the widow by matching. His works include God of Socrates, Florida, and Metamorphoses, also known as the Golden Ass, which include Cupid and Psyche as story. Antagonized is the fairy tale love story of Cupid and Psyche. It makes up early one quarter of the Metamorphoses and contains, as Elizabeth Hazelton High noted in Apelles and his influence, all the marks of folklore tale: beautiful, neglected princess, marriage to a husband whom she must not see, jealous elder sister, disappearance of husband when its prohibition is neglected, jealous of husband's mother who sets the bride dangerous and cruel task, accomplish of the task, and by supernatural aid, final reunion of the bride and husband. Lucian was born in Samosata, Commagene. He died in Syria after 180 Athens. He is an ancient Greek rhetorician, pamphleteer, and satirist. As a young man, he acquired a Greek literary education while traveling through Western Asia Minor. He became a public speaker before turning to writing essays. His works, outstanding for their mordant wit, are a sophisticated critique of the shams and follies of the literature, philosophy, and intellectual life of his days, in such works as Charon, Dialogues of the Dead, True History, and he satirized nearly every aspect of human behavior. Apollodorus is a Greek, next to Ovid, the most voluminous ancient writer of mythology, but unlike Ovid, he is very matter of fact and very dull. His date has been differently set off all the way of the 1st century to 9th century. He was a Greek scholar of wide interest who is best known for Chronica, or Chronicle of Greek history. The Chronicle was written in the iambic trimeter used in Greek comedy, covers the period from the fall of Troy.